What's good, TMG fam? It's your boy Ellen. I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. So, hey, first of all, y'all gotta give me a round of applause, man. You gotta give your boy a round of applause. You know what I'm saying? This video here is talking about afterlife and all kind of stuff. Y'all know I normally stay away from stuff. Afterlife, the whole, you know what I mean? I don't too much play around with death like that. So, yeah, I'm making baby steps, you know what I'm saying? I'm progressing, I'm getting better, you know, talking about this stuff and being open to talk about it. But man, my younger days, I ain't wanna, nope, I don't wanna hear about it, I don't wanna talk about it, I don't wanna think about it. Knowing it's forever present, knowing it's always, you know what I mean, you know it's gonna happen. It's those sure things in life that we always talk about, death and taxes, you know what I'm saying? But this video here is the top 10 secrets that people brought from the afterlife. Now, you've heard or seen news interviews where people talk about, you know, they've experienced the afterlife in a traumatic experience and they saw the light, or they went through something and they crossed over and then they crossed back over. What was that? All right. Hair out of my head. That's crazy. They crossed over and then they crossed back over and they had that experience and they remembered it when they came to. So as intriguing as that is, it used to scare me as a kid to hear people talk about that or see interviews where people would talk about, you know, afterlife. I was thinking, you know, I'm a young guy. I don't want to think about that. I'm trying to live life to the fullest. Why am I thinking about what's gonna happen when it's all said and done? No, I want to be present. I want to be present in life and enjoy everything. You know what I mean? The moment, not down the line or whenever it could be. So that's why I always didn't ever pay attention to it. But I'm gonna check this video out. So if you're new to the channel, man, hit the subscribe button, join the fam. And once you do that, you see me rolling up the sleeves, so you know what time it is, man. We got to acknowledge these haters. Moment of silence from the haters. That's enough. Now run the likes up. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Let's check this out.
Afterlife is one of humans' greatest mysteries, and people are trying to constantly find out the answers to what lies beyond our physical realm.
Some of the best people to ask just maybe those who have, I don't know, experienced death themselves only to be brought back to life minutes later. It's kind of insane. Some of these are actually really scary. I feel at comfort dying, but now I'm a bit more afraid of dying. So we don't know, maybe you'll feel the same.
What's up, Top 10 fam? Welcome back. I am one of your hosts today, Olivia Kozlowski.
And I'm Taylor McWaters, and today we're going to be diving into the top 10 secrets that people brought back from the afterlife. Kicking off the list at number 10, an open field. Coming from a user named Ursa Lee Minor, who at the end of the story reinforces the fact that they're not religious. This isn't a medical versus spiritual debate. This is just their experience. So I figured I'd lead with that, as that's the
This is not a spiritual debate. Nobody's infringing on your religion or anything like that. We're just talking about experiences that people have talked about. All right, I should have cleared that up in the beginning.
Case for most of these stories. But this user claims to have seen the other side after being admitted to an ICU. They saw this field with trees on both sides and then water right at the end of it. Like those fields with the electrical lines that run through with no houses, no residents. It's calm, but it's a long, clear area surrounded by trees. But in the center, there was a very large oak tree and it had this massive presence. And the tree told them that they were not done living yet and should return back to life. But they reminded this figure that they were very sick in real life and that this seemed like a nice place. The forest, they note, felt dark and scary though, those trees on both sides. It felt like a place they didn't want to go, only towards the water. And then they saw a bright light and woke up in the ICU. Again, they don't want a religious debate or anything, that's just their experience. Forest bad, water good. Duly noted.
Now what's scary about that is you ever have a dream when you're out in one of those forests? Now you'll think about it and feel like, am I alive or am I gone? And is it over with? All right. Next time you have one of those dreams, you're gonna think about that subconscious in your dream.
Number 9 spot today, we have Fields of Gold. This story comes from a Reddit thread in which the original poster asked the question of what those who had died and been resuscitated remembered seeing. A Reddit user replied to the thread and
that's a bag valve mask. I'm sorry, y'all. My EMT days kick back in. Dude doing compressions right now. The other dude holding the BVM is what we call bag valve mask. and then you're supposed to cup over with like a seat. Oh man, I'm telling y'all, bro, I might have to hop back in my EMT days, man.
Who had died and been resuscitated remembered seeing. A Reddit user replied to the thread and explained a story that their mom had told them about when her heart stopped during surgery. Their mom thankfully was brought back, and when she recovered enough and woke up from surgery, she later explained that all she remembered was being in a field of flowers. So here I am, hearing that, thinking of the Wizard of Oz, everyone's just skipping down the yellow brick road, but as it turns out, maybe it's absolutely nothing like that. There was one Redditor who commented on this story with a hot take that kind of made me feel a little uneasy about the whole thing. They explained how it makes sense that a field of flowers is traditionally a more calming image, but that it feels odd to them. A little unnerving and empty, totally devoid of any other people. I'm not gonna lie, that does sound quite eerie, but I'm sure for some of you watching this video, that truly sounds like heaven.
Number 8, a life lesson. This next one comes from a user named Harry and Lana. One semester they had a class where this man came in to explain his near-death experience. What a powerful class. Our only guests would be like, people who wrote one poem 10 years ago. You're like, great, I'm gonna fall asleep in this class. This man was kayaking with a friend. He ended up flipping his kayak over, and then he got sucked under by the current. His friend had to watch him pass out underwater and get dragged down the river. Just a nightmare of a scene, but during his time unconscious, the man described this dark place almost as if it was a cave, but the walls were soft and velvet-like. At the end of this cave, there was a plethora of colors. He described it as a kaleidoscope, one would say, or a stained glass window. Either way, it was beautiful. But he saw these dark figures passing by on the other side of this glass. Moments after one of the most frightening experiences of his life, he said he felt comfort and peace. He felt like God wanted him to be there, but he also said that you must have to be pretty terrible to go to hell because he himself wasn't the greatest of guys before this accident. His friend caught up to his body, luckily, and he was able to revive him, but now this man feels a stronger connection with everybody and he's grateful to have had this experience. This user finishes the story saying that they hope this was calming to hear, as other encounters are quite scary. Yeah, it was calming, thank you, and also we're glad that you're alive. Sweet.
In our number 7 spot today, we have the Gates of Hell. Veronica Ulrich Barthel was 22 years old in 1981, and that is when she was struck by lightning while she was driving. I always thought that that was impossible, but turns out everyone
Whoa, me too.
struck by lightning while she was driving.
Look at that. And somebody caught it perfectly. Struck by lightning. I was always told that the tires grounded you. See, it's always that. It's 99.9. They tell it to you 99.9% chance it won't happen. But that 0.01% that it. No. What is it? 0.01 or 0.1? Whatever it is, 0.1% chance that you'll get it. It's still a chance. I'm pretty sure she thought this would never happen. I always thought you're inside the vehicle, you're safe. Tires ground you, you're safe. Now I don't know what to think now after hearing that. That messed me up right there.
Barthel was 22 years old in 1981, and that is when she was struck by lightning while she was driving. I always thought that that was impossible, but turns out everyone just lied to me as a kid. But I'll unpack that later, I guess. When she got struck by lightning, she began having an out-of-body experience. She said she could see herself holding the steering wheel with burned hands, which sounds absolutely terrifying. She then said she went on a journey through a tunnel, which led her to be standing in front of a gate that read, "Welcome to Hell." Yeah, okay, I thought the burned hands were bad, but this might be worse. She then explains that she was brought to a waiting room, which sounds a lot like hell, and that she could see people suffering and torment, and I was like, yeah, we've all been in a waiting room before, we get it. She then said that she met someone who she presumed to be Jesus, but who really knows? Whoever this mystery man was, he sent her back to her body. When she came back into the physical world, apparently all she could do was scream, "I was dead and in hell," over and over and over again.
Number 6, Annabelle Beam. At just age 4, Annabelle Beam was diagnosed with 2 life-threatening digestive disorders, and by the time she was 8 years old, she was struggling quite a bit. She was sitting in a tree just thinking about life. She was up high, maybe 30 feet up, but all of a sudden the branch that she was sitting on broke and she fell down into a hollow part of the base of the tree. She was stuck there for 6 hours, but during that time, she said that she died and went to heaven. They actually made a movie about this. It came out in 2016 with Jennifer Gardner. It's called Miracles from Heaven. Fun fact, when I worked at a movie theater that year, I actually had to assemble the tree of life in the front lobby. It was a rough morning, a lot of leaves, but you know what? Great film. Go check it out. But the story is wild. It's a real story, and after she fell, she was all of a sudden with Jesus, with J-Lord himself. And Jesus told her that after the firefighters got her out, she won't be sick anymore, and that she has plans to fulfill here on earth. When she did wake up later, she was indeed no longer sick, and her mother wrote the book Miracles from Heaven.
In our number 5 spot today, we have poor Michael.
Like, at that point in time, like, I'm already a live life to the fullest type of guy. You know what I mean? I don't go too crazy, but at the same time, I like to have a good time. That type of experience, man, would have sent me in an overdrive. Like, I'm trying to accomplish everything. It's nothing you can tell me I can't do. Bro, I just survived that traumatic experience. And I got confirmation that I don't have the sickness anymore. And I'm supposed to be doing something. Man, please. That's why when people say if your dreams don't scare you, you know what I mean, you're not dreaming too big. I would be scaring myself at that point. I would be dreaming the biggest. So, like, I could only imagine what her family went through with that type of experience. Like, you couldn't tell me nothing. Nothing could get me down. Nothing could get me down after going through something like that.
Michelangelo. This is another Reddit story that pertains to an experience someone's mom had. The Redditor explained that their mom had a brain aneurysm that was nearly fatal. There was a point where the doctors were telling the Redditor that their mom likely wasn't going to make it, but thankfully by some miracle their mother was able to make a full recovery. She later told the Redditor that after experiencing several hours of pain, she eventually just felt total peace, lightness, and relaxed happiness. This is super nice, which is why I had to include it, but it's actually not what I want to talk about today. The super crazy part about this is that the first words that the Redditor's mother spoke to them when she awoke were, quote, "Isn't it so sad about Michelangelo?" Yes, I was also confused at first, but later in the thread, the Redditor cleared up what she meant. Keep in mind that prior to this terrible incident, their mother never had any interest in art, or Michelangelo for that matter. It turns out, however, that once she awoke, whatever happened or wherever she went, she was given the impression that Michelangelo was essentially treated really terribly and was put under some pretty awful conditions for the 4 years that it took him to paint the Sistine Chapel. The Redditor said that it was so out of character at the time that it was quite concerning, which totally makes sense, but now I'm just wondering if this information is actually true.
Number 4.
See, now that got me thinking, like, has there ever been an instance where somebody wake up and they now have a skill that they didn't have before or didn't possess before? Like, hearing her say that, I thought she was about to say, you know, she was talking about and inquiring about Michelangelo, and she woke up and being able to paint like never before. Like, I want to hear some of those experiences too. Like a person waking up and I was like, yo, I want to play basketball, and now all of a sudden they can jump. They can handle the basketball. They can play very well. All before they couldn't. They never even touched the basketball. Like, I imagine there's some stories out there too like that.
Stay or go. Coming from user Zana Vinovovich, this account takes us back to 1986. Her mother was put under for C-section, and at that time they were in Italy and not citizens, so she also chose to not have a sonogram to determine the sex. So she was put under, and then next you know, doctors are performing CPR chest compressions on her. What is happening? Her mother said that while she was out of it, despite what was happening in real time, she felt also at peace. She was calm and in a very comforting place. She didn't hear a voice or see a tree figure or Jesus, but she felt like she could go either way. She could stay or go. She recalls speaking to this presence that she felt, and she explained how she couldn't go because she had 3 girls to take care of, but at this point she didn't have the 3rd child yet. Interesting. Now cut to 23 years later, she's fine, everybody's fine, but that experience has made an impact on her, of course. So when she told her father about what had happened when she was under, he even said that he himself had a similar experience when he suffered a heart attack.
In our number 3 spot today, we have 45 years. In 1943, Dr. George Ritchie died of pneumonia, but after 9 long minutes, he came back and was sure to tell the tale of what happened while he was gone. He went on to write a book called Return from Tomorrow and My Life After Dying. He recounts a lot of stuff in this book, from an out-of-body experience to meeting people, but the last thing he remembered was meeting someone who he calls God, although it might have been Jesus, or neither. Either way, whoever he met left him with a mental message that told him, quote, "It is left to humanity which direction they shall choose. I came to this planet to show you through the life I led how to love. Without our Father, you can do nothing, neither could I. I showed you this. You have 45 years. When he came back to his body, he explained that his throat was on fire and that he felt weight on his chest that was crushing to him. I'm not exactly sure what this message was supposed to mean. I mean, mostly the whole 45 years thing. Dr. Ritchie passed away in 2007, which was almost 64 years after his near-death experience, but whatever this message was intended to mean, that was probably the coolest and most terrifying experience in the whole world.
Number 2, a long nap. These encounters have a similar comforting theme almost, that in the end, one way or another, there's a good chance whatever you believe in, whatever lies beyond, is peaceful. This next one gave me comfort, and it comes from a user named Apple Pasta, also great name. They recall being in a coma after a car accident, and they were legally dead for around 2 minutes. Everybody kept asking them what it was like afterwards, which also don't do that, it's pretty rude. Wait till they're ready to talk about it. And their response was always the same. It was the exact same as sleeping. They don't have much memory of it, but the coma as a whole, they remember this time where everything felt slow and everything was foggy around them. They also felt like their memory of the event is slowly starting to change over time. Maybe they're convincing themselves what they thought happened, but one thing that they're sure of is the feeling that they had, and that the experience has made them unafraid of death, and at the end of the day, dying is just like a long nap. And man, do I love a long nap. I love that last line, man, do I love a long nap, because we do too. Thank you for sharing, Apple Pasta. Sorry about your accident, and we're glad you're okay.
In our number 1 spot today, we have Serenity. This story comes from Reddit, and I thought it might be a good note to end off on because although it is a little eerie, there's something comforting about it as well. The Redditor explained that their grandma was a nurse for her whole life and that during her time, she had only ever seen 2 people be resuscitated. One of them was a teenage boy, and the other was years and years later, and it was a middle-aged, tough as nails, biker-type guy. Neither of them were particularly religious or had any kind of spiritual affiliation, but what was striking to her was that both of them had the same reaction to being brought back, and that was how they both said something along the lines of, "Why'd they do that? I was so peaceful." See what I mean? A little eerie, but also oddly comforting. Aside from that, women who went to the gates of hell, a lot of people I've talked about today have had fairly calming experiences wherever they went during their near-death experience, and I think that that's something that can make us all feel a little bit better about what sits beyond us in the unknown. All right, guys, that has been our list for today. Thank you so much.
Like, I tell you what would get me. And I was thinking about this after we got probably maybe a quarter way through the video. Like, these people all had experiences, man, where they saw somebody or they, you know what I mean? They felt something or went through something or seen something peculiar or strange, and then they ended up back in their body. Like, I could imagine being or in that situation and running into like a dead relative that you miss very much. For me, like my mom or my aunt that helped raise me as well, and running into them and seeing them and trying to just hold on to them and then having to let go to come back. I could imagine that could be traumatic. You know what I mean? It could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, it could be, I know it would be emotional. Like, I'd probably wake up in tears, you know what I mean? Because you always want, you always felt like you didn't get enough time with that person. So to get those few minutes, for some it may be like, oh man, those were the best few minutes ever. For some people it may mean, man, that wasn't enough time. I still needed more time. I just wanted to embrace their presence. I just wanted to be, you know what I mean? And that would be me, man. I continue to feel like she left too early. She didn't get a chance. We didn't get a chance to accomplish a lot of the things I wanted to accomplish and do for her and be around. You know what I mean? So to get a few minutes, that would mess me up. That would mess me up. And that's what I was thinking about as I was going through this video, putting myself in some of these people's shoes who were dealing with these experiences, I was like, man, if that had, oof, that would mess me up. You know what I'm saying? And if you're a person that believes that we will meet again in the afterlife, then I don't know. How would you guys feel? How would y'all feel? I know I took it completely left. That's just what was going through my mind, though, so I had to let y'all in on it. You know what I mean? But y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what sparked or what went through your mind while watching this video. All right? And till the next reaction, man, I'm gone. Peace.